Good evening, everyone. This is your evening news recap, your nightly news podcast on all the news that I come across throughout the day, giving you my take as somebody who aspires to be a politician in the near future. Hopefully, all you guys are doing wonderful. Hopefully, all you guys are well. Today is December 15th, and it is Monday. Hopefully, all you guys are having a wonderful day and week so far. Just as an announcement before we get into today's video, there will not be an episode tomorrow and possibly the next few days after, as I am getting my wisdom teeth pulled tomorrow. Wish me luck, everyone. I'm not very excited for it, but it's the reason why I had to fly back to California for Christmas. So we got to get it done. With that being said, though, hopefully all you guys are doing well. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. All the support would be greatly appreciated as we're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by this summer. And if you're on Substack, please consider subscribing as well. All funds go to me. It helps me pay for the things that I need to pay for in my life, like my groceries, clothing, and all of that. It's $8 a month, and all the support is greatly appreciated. With that being said, let's get into the news from today. Moving on into the Trump administration segment, as we do, where we have one topic here tonight. Trump's new Arc Day triumph is going to be a primary thing for his policy advisor. Trump has come out announcing that his new Arc Day Trump will be a top priority, as millions of Americans are expected to have spikes in their insurance premiums over the coming months. Trump said at the White House holiday party alongside Vince Haley, his former speechwriter and aide to Newt Gingrich, the leader of the White House Domestic Policy Council, however you pronounce his last name, I apologize. Trump said, Vince is unbelievable on policy, and we will have a policy that is going to be unbelievably happening. I put Vince in charge of the triumphal arc, told Haley. This is your primary thing. There is nothing that can compete with that. When he's supposed to be working on domestic policy, things like helping Americans afford other things, his top priority is working on this art for Trump. For this to be your primary goal and a primary goal for a domestic policy advisor, while millions of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck and now won't be able to afford healthcare in the upcoming months, is absolutely wild on so many levels. There is no way the Arc Day triumph is more important than if Americans can afford to live or not. Simply, like, there is no way that is more important. But I guess this administration would rather tell us to eat cake. It's absolutely disgusting that they would rather focus on things like this. An arc is not necessary. Truly, we have no need for that. I know he's saying it because he wants to build a monument for the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. And in theory, that's cool. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy. But if you look at it, Americans are struggling, and that is the last thing we need right now. If we want to build a monument for being successful, how about we worry about actually providing things for our people first? We are not providing anything good for our people these days. I mean, we literally just took ACA subsidies away, which makes healthcare premiums skyrocket. Not to mention, it's impossible to find a job right now in this job economy. Grocery prices are through the roof, and even gas prices aren't going down in a lot of areas throughout the United States. The Trump administration is not helping us in the slightest, and we need new leadership in here to do that. Unfortunately, we gotta wait, but hopefully something can be done within inside to remove the entire administration from office, although I doubt that. Anyways, talking about Rob Reiner, for those who don't know, Rob Reiner is or used to be a film director. He created popular movies like The Princess Bride. He has unfortunately passed away. Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle, have been found dead in their Hollywood homes, discovered by their daughter. Rob Reiner was a filmmaker in Hollywood, spending his career making movies like The Princess Bride and A Few Good Men. Reiner had previously been seen arguing with his son at a holiday party on Saturday, and the son has been arrested and is being hailed without bail on suspicion of murder. The case is to go ahead of the LA County District Attorney's Office on Tuesday. This is absolutely horrific news, and my full condolences go to their family. This is definitely going to be a rough one due to the possible involvement with the family member. I was talking to my roommate about this since her favorite movie is The Princess Bride, and she said the son also had some issues with drugs and said that drugs may play a role. And although I don't remember seeing anything within the articles that I read about this, maybe that is very possible. I didn't read anything about that, so I'm unsure. But maybe it's something that played a role. As always, I will try my best to keep you all updated on the situation as it plays out, as the news comes out, if we hear anything about it. Yeah. Anyways, we're still talking about this because Trump had a lot to say about this, and he had to make two comments on that. So we have two more topics about this. The first one being Trump, of course, commented on the death of Rob and Michelle Reiner. Trump made horrific comments in a post on Truth Social following the death of filmmaker director Rob Reiner and his wife. In a post, he wrote, "A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with the mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession over President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed goals and expectations of greatness and within the golden age of America upon us. Perhaps like never before, may Rob and Michelle rest in peace." Once again, Trump has not been treating the situation great, especially when, it's someone on the other side. We haven't seen Trump support people on the other side when they pass. When Michelle Hortman died, or Melissa Hortman, sorry, when Melissa Hortman died, the senator, she got absolutely nothing, not even a comment from Trump. I don't even believe he attended her funeral. And even here, someone on the left is passing away, and Trump is blasting them using essentially his own propaganda to make light of his death with the TDS. I mean, that's just not real. I think most people have the brain to say that Trump derangement syndrome is not a real thing, and Trump is using that to make a joke, which is not okay in the slightest. Comments from the president especially hold a lot more weight, especially Trump. I mean, we all know Trump. Anything Trump says holds a lot of weight with his fan base. January 6th being one of those. I mean, you know, or like really anything else. Anything Trump says really goes. Trump holds so much weight when he says things. We've seen that very frequently. And him saying things like this is wild. Even MAGA themselves called out Trump for this. A lot of the top comments on the post called Trump distasteful and said that they were disappointed in the president for making these remarks. And I mean, that's just the truth. Like, the president should not be coming out here and saying shit like this. Not only is it unpresidential, but he is using his own propaganda to make light of the situation, which is absolutely wild. In other news, Trump also decided to double down against Rob Reiner. Trump now has doubled down against Rob Reiner following a post he made on Truth Social against the now deceased filmmaker. Trump said in the Oval Office, "Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all due to the anger he caused others through his massive and unyielding, incurable affliction with the mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome." Trump added, "He was a deranged person, so as far as Trump is concerned," going on to say, "So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country." I just want to remind you all that a lack of a filter is an early sign of dementia, and we have seen a very large lack of filter from Trump within the recent few months and weeks. If you guys remember the Quiet Piggy situation, recently the filter just is not there in the slightest. He didn't even care care about it when he got flamed by even members of MAGA or members of the Republican Party for the comments that he made. He just decided to keep going. Not a care in the world, which really is a sign to a lack of filter, which of course is a sign for dementia. Trump is not a great person in the slightest, and I mean, this is just proof of it. He's going out there and saying things like this. He's going out, and calling out people who have died, making light of their situation, using it for his own propaganda. And people need to continue to recognize that. And before I hear anything about Charlie Kirk, because I know somebody is going to have to comment something about that in this situation, all I want to say is these are two completely different things. And yes, people on the left did make fun of Charlie Kirk's death. Not going to condone that. I do not think that is a great thing, but I've made my comments very clear on that about Charlie Kirk and where I stand. I did not make fun of his death. I believe it is horrible that people had to die of gun violence. And I believe that, Trump should not be making light. Nobody should be making light of anyone's death, especially in a joking regard. Anyways, moving on into our other news segment for today, the first topic we have is a JetBlue flight almost collided midair with a U.S. military plane. A near midair collision almost took place between a JetBlue commercial flight and a U.S. Air Force refueling tanker near Venezuela. The plane coming out of Caraco had to halt its ascent to avoid hitting a military aircraft. It's unknown how close the planes had gotten because the Air Force did not have their transponder on, meaning no aircraft controllers had knowledge of the plane. A spokesperson for the aircraft did say that they were aware of the matter and it is now under review. Thankfully, it seems like nobody was hurt during this event. This event could have been very well avoided if they had their transponder on. And although I'm not an air travel expert, you'd think that would be something that you would have to have on, especially when traveling in commercial airspace. I'm pretty sure that military airplanes have to announce that they are flying through commercial airspace. Like there's designated airspace for different kinds of groups, and I believe there's also time frames for that. There's a bunch that goes into it. I have a very limited knowledge on it. I have spent very little time on flight trackers. I got interested in it for a month or two and then fell out of it. But I do have some little knowledge on it. This is could have been a horrific disaster. And thankfully it has been avoided. But if it wasn't avoided, it would have been a massive deal, and it likely is due to internal competence, which we have seen throughout really this whole administration, especially when it comes to the military. Which is why I'm not shocked to hear this. But yeah, this is absolutely horrific. We got to lock in. We shouldn't be creating issues like this. People could have died. And this is not something we should have a problem with. A military aircraft should not be causing risks for other people flying. In other news, the police have released the person of interest from the Brown University shooting. The previous suspect from the Brown University shooting has been released without charges, according to Mayor Brett Smiley. Smiley said in a statement, "The status of safety in our community remains unchanged, and we believe you remain safe in our community." But according to the state attorney general, Peter Narana, evidence points to a different direction than what they had before, and they believe that this could be a different individual entirely. This is very interesting, and we'll see how it plays out. This isn't the most uncommon thing. We've seen people been released for being falsely accused or falsely believed to commit a crime before. But with a state as small as Rhode Island, it is very likely that the perpetrator in this is at least a few states away, if not another country over. As always, we'll see how this one goes. It's a very interesting situation, and it will continue to play out. And I will try my best to keep you all updated throughout the way. Anyways, in other news, the Bondi Beach hero Ahmed El Ahmed, or Al Ahmed, sorry if I'm pronouncing that horribly, I sure I am, is now out of surgery. 43-year-old Ahmed Al Ahmed is recovering in the hospital from surgery after wresting a gun from an armed attacker during a mass shooting at the Bondi Beach in Australia. The Muslim man who stood up for Jewish lives was shot twice by the second perpetrator in the hand and the arm. Many believe if it wasn't for this man, more lives would have been lost within this terrible incident. His father, Mohammed, said to ABC News, "My son is a hero. He served in the police. He has a passion to defend the people. When we saw people lying on the ground and in the blood, quickly in consciousness, he pushed him to attack one of the terrorists and take his weapons away." This man is a hero through and through, and I'm really glad to see it. People like this should be recognized and supported, and I'm glad to hear that he's doing great in the hospital. This man took the gun out of the hands of an armed attacker, without a thought, something that most people would never have the strength to do. So truly a round of applause for this hero. I hope his next surgery goes swimmingly, if he has one at all. Truly, all of his flowers is deserved. His GoFundMe is also going really well. I couldn't find a link online to that. If anyone can, please send me an email, send me a message or something. I would love to post that. But I personally couldn't find it. I looked around for a little bit while doing research on this. But yeah, this man is absolutely a hero. He deserves all the support. And this is definitely an amazing thing. So great for him. Anyways, moving on into our final topic for tonight, we have some really unfortunate news as flooding is taking place across Washington. Washington State is seeing mass flooding after a levee failed in King County, south of Seattle. Residents have been issued a go now evacuation notice for anyone east of the Green River and Orillia area in Tookoula, Renton, and Kent. Flash flood warnings are active, and nearly 7,000 have been impacted, according to data from the National Weather Service. Looking at images of this incident, it looks pretty bad, as most floods tend to do. I hope this damage is at the bare minimum. Unfortunately, it's kind of hard to avoid that in floods and national disasters. But good luck to everyone impacted by this. Truly, national disasters are absolutely horrific, and nobody deserves to be impacted by them. but you just can't beat out Mother Nature. That's the unfortunate part about that. You're just not going to beat her out. But outside of that, that's about all we have for today. Hopefully, all you guys enjoyed today's episode. It has definitely been a very interesting day in the news world. If you're new here, though, please consider subscribing. All the support would be really appreciated as we're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by this summer. And if you're on Substack, please consider subscribing as well. It's $8 a month. All the support helps me pay for the things that I need to pay for in my life, like my groceries, clothing, all those kinds of things. But if not, you can always subscribe for free. I truly do appreciate all forms of support on this content. It means the world to me. If you're interested in supporting someone who believes in a country that is, here to actually help its people, providing things like free higher education, free healthcare, all those kinds of things, drop a subscribe because that's my goal when I make it into politics. With that being said, thank you all for watching today's episode. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all, if not on Wednesday.